So I kind of want to go back to the beginning because I was reading a little bit about your story, and what sort of struck me as really, really interesting is that, correct me if I'm wrong here, you're about 31, 32, 33. You're working at somewhere like a print shop, so by what most people would consider, a regular job. And I think you said you were down to your last $1,000 to kind of try to make this dream become a reality. Fast forward 10 years and you're one of the most viewed people in the history of humanity. So at what point did you go, look, I'm committing to this thing. This is going to be my future. And were there doubts there where you go, maybe this isn't for me? Because there's only so many there's only so many Steve Irwins
Right.
and Bear Grylls, and there's like a couple of them you can count on your hand, and that's that. So how does this dream become a reality, and take me through those 10 years of growth?
It's definitely a lot of perseverance and a lot of not getting discouraged by the Everest-sized mountain of no's. This will never work. Mark and I started the vision of this, very early on, and it actually began even before Mark and I were developing Brave Wilderness. A couple of my friends and I here in Columbus were developing a concept called the Reptile Show, and I was actually developing it for a friend because most of my background is in screenwriting, producing, and directing. So I knew I wanted to create something in the animal adventure realm. When Steve Irwin tragically passed away, I sort of recognized this void in the marketplace. Ultimately, I ended up becoming the one that filled that gap for us by jumping in front of the camera. But I never imagined that that's the course this was all going to take. And when it came to really driving this thing forward, there are roughly 5.5 years of development that we went through, countless snapping turtle catches that we were filming on mini DV cameras. I mean, we've got a treasure trove of content that no one's ever seen. And that's where I really honed my skill for being in front of the camera. I mean, you don't just jump in front of a camera one day and be like, oh, cool, I'm a great presenter. I think I understood what needed to be done because of my experience behind the camera. But as we started working through the idea of, all right, what does a show look like? How do we get ourselves into the right rooms to pitch a larger television concept, we made some massive leaps and bounds. And we did get a small amount of angel investment to essentially develop what's known as a sizzle reel for a show that we were calling Brave Wilderness. And we cleverly got that package into a lot of notable production companies' offices. And the big thing to recognize is that when you hear of a network like Nat Geo or Discovery, these guys don't produce their own shows. They hire contracted production companies that have experience creating this content that becomes their shows. So we knew that, okay, you don't just go knock on Discovery or Nat Geo's door and say, hey guys, want to make a show? They'd be like, well, you need an accredited production company to help you make what this is. So we targeted the production companies, got our sizzle reel into their hands. I think we sent out like 25 packages, and the way that we got past the no soliciting, Mark and I like to feel is pretty clever. We sent first class FedEx mail packages. So we spent the money to have packages that people had to sign for. And when you get a package that shows up to your office, you're like, well, of course I'm going to open this. It could be cool. It could be candy. It could be who knows what it is, right? So people would open up this package. We had made t-shirts. We made stickers. We had this beautiful package that my friend Patrick had designed. He's a top-notch graphic designer with the DVD inside. And I think when you get to that point, you're like, all right, well, let's pop this in and see what it is. And it was 11 intense moments of me catching snapping turtles, alligators, interacting with Western diamondback rattlesnakes, and a scenario that we created, we essentially staged of seeming like we had caught a mountain lion in a pit trap. So we had roughly 5 or 6 production companies that approached us back and said, okay, don't know how you guys got to this point, but let's have you come sit down with our office and talk about what a show could look like. Long story short, we went quite a ways down the road with one company specifically in Florida. and we just weren't able to pull together the financing. We had gone all the way through budgeting, location scouting, and put together what was looking like a 26 episode run for what's called Lytton Adventure Weekend, which is your typical Saturday morning televisions where Jack Hanna's shows existed. Jeff Corwin currently distributes in that space. And we were like, wow, this is it, the break into the industry. And it didn't happen. And it was really heartbreaking for Mark and I to be like, man, like we were so close. Like, do we just stop there and continue on with the day job? And this is the point where to your cue of being dipped down to our last $1,000, it was actually about $2,500. And we purchased airplane tickets and slept on friends' couches and went out to an event that was being held for the first time in Santa Monica, California, called Real Stream. So there's something called Real Screen that happens every year on the East and West Coast where people come out and pitch television shows. And by people, I mean production companies pitch shows to try to say, hey, this is our next run of what we're going to do. Real Stream was the first time this was being done in the digital space. And this was right at that cusp of like YouTube starting to pop off and become monetized. This was, I believe, 2012 that we went out to do what this was. And a lot of big corporations and distribution companies like the Discoveries of the world were seeing that, wow, okay, YouTube might be a space for us to create, short form content. And we pitched to everybody that we possibly could there. We made an amazing connection with somebody that was about to sell their company to Discovery. That connection point led us to developing the first run of content that became the Brave Wilderness channel for what was known as Discovery Digital Networks. So Discovery, like you know it, they own Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, et cetera, et cetera. This was their little digital baby. Now, that has since failed and gone under, but that's where we got our foot in the door. And there's this big misconception, I think, by a lot of people, I've read this before, that Discovery helped finance and start Brave Wilderness. That is 100% false. We went to Discovery, pitched our concept, and they said, we love it. We have no money for you. So we went back to our same angel investors that helped us build out the sizzle reel, and we said, look, we've got distribution. If you can give us a little bit more money, Discovery wants 12 episodes of the show called Breaking Trail that Mark and I developed. And we got that very small amount of money. We went out and produced in Florida, Ohio, Arizona, and Montana. The biggest piece being me going face to face with a grizzly bear to show you what to do if you get attacked. And that episode actually ended up winning an Emmy Award, which was kind of cool. But we got the money to do those 12 episodes, and our ambition was pretty aggressive. We produced 52 pieces of content, and it was, I know this is a long story, but it gets us to where the YouTube channel happened. We were launching with Discovery Digital Networks, and their platform was called Animalist. And we were like, sweet, Animalist. This is like Animal Planet in the digital realm. Like, we're going to be the Steve Irwins of this space. Unfortunately, Animalist was a massive fail. But in the birth of it all came Brave Wilderness. And we were distributing through Animalist, but our partners at Discovery were like, we need you guys to start a YouTube channel so that we can filter your content into our export window through a YouTube channel that you own. And Mark and I are like, dude, we do not make cat videos. We do not make prank videos. We were super discouraged. We're like, you're putting us in this realm. Like, we need you guys to be looking at us for a TV show on Animal Planet. And we launched this YouTube channel. And the problem with Animalist is that it was kind of this almost like a closed television network where they were distributing content, but you couldn't see any likes, you couldn't see any comments, you couldn't even see the views. Yeah, and it was really like, we were like, man, how is any of this doing? But at the same time, it was also being released through this YouTube channel that we set up, which at the time was called Breaking Trail, and we got it renamed to Brave Wilderness. But we started seeing the views rack up, and then there's the comments, and then you're like, wow, this is, when you get your first 1,000 subscribers, you're like, holy cow, 1,000 people. This is more people than we've ever reached in our wildest dreams. So at that point, September 2014 is when this all launched, is where the genesis of Brave Wilderness as a public entity really began.